So my name is Lailani. I'm a fourth year. My pronouns are she, her, hers. My major right now is in sociology, and I have a double minor in history and applied psych. I should know by now. It's going to be my last year. That's like the logistical information. What am I involved in? So I'm a peer mentor at the ONDAS Student Center. This will be my second year and last year, as it'll be also my last year at Santa Barbara. I'm also a peer mentor for the undergraduate mentorship program, and that's pretty much a mentorship program here on campus that really focuses on working with first years during their winter and spring quarter, just to help them acclimate to the university and whatnot. And we pretty much match mentors with mentees, so it's a really like one-on-one type of program. And so I've been a peer mentor there, which will now be my third year. So I'm really excited. And if you have any questions on like getting involved in like peer mentor type of stuff, like come ask me. And then what else? I'll also begin the sociology honors practicum with the sociology honors department, and like pretty much I'll be conducting my own research and whatnot this last year. So I'm really excited about that. Kind of don't know what I'm doing yet, so I'll have to figure that out in this like upcoming week and whatnot. But that's pretty much it. And then I like did some club sport my first year, but I'm no longer involved in that. But if you're wondering, it's ultimate Frisbee, but that is one thing I was involved in.
Nice. Hi, everyone. I'm Loretta, but you call me Laurie. I use she, hers, ella pronouns. I'm a rising fourth year, and I'm a biology major, and I'm a Spanish minor. I'm originally from Orange County, Dana Point. I don't know if anyone knows, but around Irvine area. Some things that I'm involved in Santa Barbara. So for the last 3 years, I've been in Sidetrack, which is under the chemistry department, and we go to local K through 12 schools in the Santa Barbara County, and we just participate with the students there and do modules. It's very fun. I'm also a part of a pre-health sorority. It's a professional sorority, and it's called Rosaeda, and I'll be entering my fourth year, which is crazy. I've been there since my first year. I am also a member of the Global Medical Training, sorry, I almost forgot, GMT, and we provide healthcare services to Central and South America, and we travel there, but due to COVID, we had to cancel them, so we're just providing support distantly, I suppose. And some other things, I really like playing tennis, I really like walking and running, and this is my housemate, by the way. We're following COVID guidelines, I decided to do the panel together.
And then Guillermo, if you want to share a little bit about yourself as well.
Sure. Hi everyone, my name is Jerome Fernandez, and I am a third year now, linguistics major with a translation studies minor. My pronouns are he, him, his. And here on campus, I am currently involved with Associated Students, which is AS, one form of student government within campus. I am currently president of the AS Book Bank, which is a student-run organization that is kind of new to the school, in which we provide books for rental to all students, just so you don't kind of have to buy your textbooks in case you cannot afford them. And then I'm also president of AS CIRC, which is Student Initiated Recruitment and Retention Committee, long name. And we just are dedicated in providing a safe space and a sense of community and academic resources for students who are like first gen or from like historically discriminated background or, income eligible. I was also involved, I was part of a volleyball club on campus, but, volleyball and all sports are currently on hold, but I can definitely talk to you about it if that's something you want to know about. And when it comes to the future, I don't know, I've always been interested in being an interpreter for some sort of international organization, but I'm also looking into the education field and working on education guidelines and legislation. That's something that really, gets my attention. And I'm from the San Fernando Valley in, nearby Los Angeles. And I think that's it. I don't know if I'm missing any other question, but yeah, that's who I am.
Cool. Well, I'm glad y'all kind of introduced what you guys are involved in at UCSB. So if any of that sounds appealing to our audience members, feel free to reach out to Lailani, Laurie, and Guillermo about those things. And there's so much to get involved in at UCSB, so feel free to explore that. So the first question for our panelists is, what is/was your experience as a first-gen student?
I can go ahead and go just so we can just keep in order the way we've been going. So my experience as a first-gen student, I mean, like currently still, because I am first-gen and whatnot, was, I think, very similar to, I guess, like some students, but it's like, it was also, I guess, unique because everybody else's, like, you know, experiences are unique. I came into Santa Barbara really afraid of failing just because I knew that my high school did a good job of like keeping us there, but I was really afraid that my high school education wasn't up to par to what Santa Barbara was expecting of me. And that really became apparent when I went to orientation and everybody, because I came in as a poli-sci major and everybody was like, oh, like poli-sci, blah, blah, this and that. And like, what'd you get on your AP score? Like, oh, I passed like 6 AP tests. I'm like, oh, really? Wow. Like I passed 1. Like, you know, I don't know. It was just like, I was really afraid of failing. That was like the number one thing. Like I knew that I got in here to Santa Barbara. Like that was a great thing for myself. But I was like, okay, what next? Like I need to stay here. You know, it's one thing to get here, but it's another to like actually stay here and feel like, you know, you belong here and whatnot. So that was definitely one thing. I was fortunately able to be a part of the part of the EOP STEP program, which stands for the Summer Transitional Educational Program, I believe that's what it stands for. And pretty much it's a week-long program where EOP brings out first-generation incoming first-year students. They stay on campus and they stay in the dorms, and then you they try to acclimate you into the campus. So fortunately, I was able to literally meet like about 100 first-gen students. So that really like helped me feel like, okay, there is a first-gen community here, and there are students who like have the same feelings as I do, like have the same feelings of like, oh my goodness, like what if I don't belong here? Like what if I don't do well? So really meeting first-gen students like early on really helped me feel like, you know, I was able to belong here even without taking those classes. But definitely I was afraid, and like I mean I still am today, you know, like I'm a 4th year, you think like you kind of get a hold of it, I mean, like you kind of do, but you know, I was scared, but now I'm not as scared. You know, I've, you know, done, you know, certain things and whatnot, and now I feel like I belong here, you know.
Yeah, so I'm in a biology major, so I am in a department where it's predominantly white, so that was definitely something that kind of intimidated me because I didn't see professors or students that didn't look like me. So I kind of suffered imposter syndrome, and what imposter syndrome is like questioning if you even belong in the position that you are. Like I was very proud of myself, and because I entered a great school, you know, but definitely like when I came here, it was a struggle to maintain all those classes and try to be like those other students who said they were successing even when I wasn't. But I think I used that as a tool, like all those struggles that I faced. It made me, I guess, a stronger person. It made me like experience something that other students didn't experience. So although it was like a blessing in disguise because you get to learn all these different, I guess, opportunities and all these different, sorry, I'm trying to think of the word, but I don't know. I feel like it makes you a lot tougher, and it is a struggle. I do have to admit, but once you kind of understand the system, I guess, you definitely, I guess, succeed, but also find your own ways of success. And like I come from 2 immigrant parents, so they didn't know anything about the U.S. education system. So it's definitely difficult to try to learn that on your own, like FAFSA, the application process. Even now, like I still have questions that, sorry, there's a fly, that I need to go find answers to. And it's like something that I feel like a lot of students don't encounter. But I definitely use a lot of resources. I've used EOP, academic advising, career services, like CAPS, which is very important. I feel like something that people don't, I guess it's like taboo to talk about, like mental health issues, but I definitely think that's something that we should, I guess, normalize and definitely approach all those wonderful resources. And yeah, that's something I experienced.
Oh, sorry. Well, when it comes to me, I think I just want to like, you know, add on to what I was mentioned before in terms of like your community. I think for me, being a first-gen student was a little bit intimidating at first, but to be honest, I was mostly overwhelmed with, you know, excitement about what was going to be like to be here at UCSB. But I think what helped me be a little bit less scared was that just having the sense of community here on campus. Similar to what has been mentioned before, I was also in a program. It was a summer-long program, but this one was not from EOP. This one was from CIRC, the organization I'm currently running. So it was called GSO, Guide Summer Orientation Program, and it was similar. It was like a week-long orientation program created by students for students. I actually got to host one last year. And you know, you kind of just sit down with students who are like you. They're first gen, they're low income, or they are historically underrepresented. And you know, even though you don't share the same major or the same interest, they have something in common with you, and that is that we're all first gen, or we are all like, I don't know, historically underrepresented. So what helped me was that even though to this day, I feel like my friends who happen to be linguistics majors or translation studies minors are like none. What helps me move on as a first gen student is kind of like finding that community and finding that people who kind of like relate to what I am going through. And that way we can just complain and vent to each other, and we completely understand what's going on, rather than, you know, complaining to someone who has not really experienced what you have experienced, and then it's like, oh, never mind, you wouldn't get it, you know. So I personally, I'm glad this kind of events, for example, this one that you're all are attending, kind of happen, because even though it's a little scary to reach out at first to someone who, you know, to a fellow student, I feel like it can make such a huge difference, because these students who share the fact that we're all first gen, the students that I met in my first year are currently like my closest friends to this day. So I think for me, it was a little bit intimidating, but I was able to go and push through it, and, you know, be even proud of who I am, because I found a community of people who relate to my struggles and my identity. So I know right now, because everything is online, everything might be a little bit like different, but I still feel like I still encourage you all to, you know, reach out to people, friends, or make friends or students who are in this group chat or in a similar event, and, you know, just trying to create connections. So by the time we come back, hopefully soon, y'all have your own community formed out. But yeah, that's it.
I think our panelists touched on a lot of important things that all of us go through as first gen, like imposter syndrome and like reaching out to resources and community. So the second question is, what is one piece of advice that you would want to share with students that are currently here right now?
I go ahead and go. So one piece of advice I can give to students, and like even like if I can think back to like myself as a first year, is like, be kind to yourself, you know. Give yourself that breathing room, and give yourself like grace and time, and like, you know, just understand that it's very easy to compare yourself to others, especially being first gen. You know, some may experience imposter syndrome, you know, I still do. It's very easy to compare yourself to others. You know, as I mentioned, like people came in with like 5 AP classes and whatnot, and like you came in with none. It's very easy to compare yourself and like, you know, get down on yourself of like, wow, do I really belong here, and things like that. And it's okay to know that it's like okay to feel that way, and just know that you are where you are, and everybody goes at their own pace. And like also like really be kind to yourself. And what I mean by that is like, especially during this like whole pandemic and like virtual learning, this may be your first time like learning virtually and whatnot. It's like technically my second time, I guess, in spring quarter and whatnot. So like we're all getting adjusted. So really like give yourself that time to like relax and like understand like you are learning, like actively learning how to adjust to this new platform. And also on top of that too, like you're also going to a brand new university. It's like your first time in college, or if you are a first year, or if you're a transfer student, it's like, you know, your whatever time in college. So really understand, like, you know, give yourself this grace to like take care of yourself and whatnot. Cause like, yeah, I'm a big, you know, proponent of like taking care of yourself. Cause if you don't take care of yourself, you know, like everything, I feel like for me personally, everything just gets like out of whack and whatnot. And like, you know, just take the time to check in with yourself and like, you know, am I okay? And if you're not okay, then you're not okay. And then you do whatever you need to do to give yourself, you know, some time to reacclimate and things like that.
Nice. Yeah, I am a big proponent of self-care, self-love. It's actually Lonnie who taught me how to do that. I don't think I practiced it. I didn't practice it enough, but I'm starting to. And all I really got to say is that you have to be proud of yourself. Like, you guys got through so many obstacles. Like, this is a position that is really difficult to get to. There's so many forms and like GPA stuff, all that stuff, which is, I think, is crazy, to be honest. But I don't know, I think being proud of yourself and recognizing like it's okay if you don't do well in a subject. Like, not everything will be easy, but it's like constantly reminding yourself like, wow, like I was able to get through it, you know. Like, it's okay, for example, like if you fail a class or anything, like it's normal, you're not gonna succeed in everything, but it's like recognizing that, okay, at that time maybe I wasn't like okay, like I don't know, just forgiving yourself. I think it's something that's really important. Like, when I failed a class I failed a class and at the time I was like, oh my goodness, am I not smart, am I not this? But I realized like, oh, there were so many things going on, and like I used to think those were excuses, but they're really not. I feel like they're more circumstances, like, you know, a lot of personal issues and there's a lot of personal issues and like mental health issues that people go through. And yeah, and another thing is also use your resources. There's so many, like I just learned a lot, and I'm a fourth year. I learned so many that I wasn't even aware of. And yeah, those resources are here for you guys. And reach out to your professors. It's really scary. I'm gonna admit it is scary, but they're really kind. They really want to get to know you sometimes. And they were in your position at one time, being a college student. And yeah, that's all I really have to say.
For me, and I noticed I didn't mute myself, but well, for me, I think I just want to, yeah, I mean, add on to what Lailani and Loretta have said, to be kind to yourself. But I feel like something that you should also try to do, even in these times, is to, you know, try a little bit of everything, balance things out. I feel like, okay, you have to be careful with try everything, because, for example, something that I did as a first year was that I wanted to overachieve so many things and try so many things that eventually for spring I ended up taking 21 units, which I think was the max, because I tried to take another one on top of that, like another class, and I was not able because I reached the amount of units. And that quarter was really fun, yes, because I did learn a lot of different things, but at the same time it was really stressful because I had a lot of things going on. So, you know, then after that spring, I learned that, okay, what about I take 2 classes that I need to take, but then I also give myself the chance to, I don't know, join the volleyball club or join this club, or, you know, just kind of like try something that you're not really used to, like focus on your academics, but also try something like a hobby or explore an interest that you've always had in the back of your head, you know. Even right now online, I know there's different orgs and clubs and you know, I forgot, but like organizations here on campus who are currently trying to do their best to give you all like non-academic activities to do during the quarter. And I feel like that's great. I'm probably even going to join some, because it's like, you know, you get to do some stuff that you wouldn't do before. And yes, I know it might be like an extra hour of Zoom, but like you do yoga or you do like game night or something like that. And I feel like all of that, it kind of like make the college experience even more like richer and better, because you explore parts of yourself that you haven't explored before. And also I feel like, I hope that made sense, but moving on, something else that I would like to add is that sometimes I don't know, I think I heard it from a professor, like the world feel like it's gonna end, but it's not really, it just feels like it's gonna end. I feel like that's kind of how you might feel during college. Like sometimes you will be overwhelmed with assignments and you're going to be like, oh my God, if I don't do this assignment, like I'm going to fail and then this is going to happen. And you just start spiraling down in your head. I personally do that a lot, but you know, it's not as bad as it seems. You know, sometimes you just have to reach out to your TAs or your professors and be like, I'm honestly drowning and I don't know why I haven't told you anything. And sometimes they will be like, yeah, why haven't you told me anything? We could have like planned ahead. And you know, most of the time they will be willing to help, but you know, don't drown yourself in your own problems. So you feel like something is becoming a little overwhelming, like talk it out and reach out to your professors, your TAs, or any like resource here on campus. So yeah, the world doesn't end, it just feels like it does. You know, there you go. That's a phrase he told me. But yeah, so I think that's my advice for incoming students.
Awesome. Stephanie, have we received any questions, or does anyone want to send questions to Stephanie right now, to any of our specific panelists or all three? Feel free to do so, and then we can ask those questions now.
Oh, yeah, there's a question. Have y'all ever changed majors to the one you are now? And how did you go about picking your minors?
I can answer that one. I think I changed my major like 5 times. Lonnie was there for it. It's totally normal. You don't, like, I had a lot of fun changing my majors. It was very stressful, not gonna lie. But I entered as a biopsychology, and then I went to environmental studies.
Do you know that?
Yeah, and then I went to sociology for like a day. And then I'm currently in the biology. And it's normal, like, you change interests as you grow, and reaching out to academic advising is very, like, key. Like, I went every single time I wanted to change my major, I went and I asked them. And feel free to, like, message professors. That's something I didn't do, but I wish I did, because I would get to know, oh, like, does that, like, the biology, like, field include, or I actually sat down with my environmental professor that made me want to switch, and I talked to him like, okay, well, I'm interested in the health professions, but I'm also like, I really like the environmental science, like, is there a mixture of both? He's like, yeah, like, you could do this and this, and we had a really good talk, and I don't know, there's a lot you could do, and don't be scared. Like, it is intimidating, I agree, but it's okay to not stick with the plan you came in with. It's very normal. Everyone, well, not everyone, but a lot of people do it more than you know. And it's kind of fun because you take some classes that you probably wouldn't have if you stick with the major. But yeah, definitely talk to friends in the major or academic advisors, like I said, or professors. But yeah.
So I can also take part, like, answer that. So as I mentioned, I came in as a political science major, and I did this because I took a community college class in high school, and it was like with one of my high school teacher, like, taught it, and I loved it, and I was like, oh my goodness, political science, like, and I selected every single school I applied to as either political science or psychology. Like, I didn't do any more investigating, which I probably should have. And so I came as poli-sci to Santa Barbara, and then I went to orientation, and I just wasn't vibing with it, to be like the most basic, you know, it wasn't feeling the vibes. So my first year I already came in with the idea of exploring what Santa Barbara, like, had to offer and whatnot. So my first year, I think I, like, just took classes that sounded really interesting to me. And one of them was Sociology 1. And then after I had taken the course, I'd realized, like, okay, like, I like these courses and whatnot. And I looked, one thing I was looking at too, because I was also looking at environmental science major, I think history and, like, other things, but I really looked at the major sheet. So if you, like, go ahead and search up, like, any major you're interested in and then type in major sheet and then UCSB, it'll usually pop up the current major sheet. And pretty much what I did is I looked at all the classes that I would have to take for that major. And I really thought to myself, like, can I see myself taking these classes? So when I looked at the political science major sheet, I, like, couldn't see myself. But when I saw the sociology ones, I was like, okay, like, I could do this. And then to quickly answer, like, the question about the minors, I never had, like, the intentions of double minoring. I knew that I liked history, and, like, I just ended up taking enough history courses to the point where I was like, okay, I'll do a minor. And then the applied psych minor that's really intentional, because I, like, have plans on either becoming, like, a college counselor or, like, a high school counselor, and the applied psych minor kind of gives me that, like those classes and those coursework to learn more about that career field.
Well, for me, I can talk on behalf of the minors because I have not changed my major. However, I am not against the idea. I just personally, like, love linguistics. I really, really feel comfortable in the major, but I do feel like it is super wise to change majors if you feel like you're not in a happy place. So what I would say about minors is that I am a translation studies minor, which is it's kind of a new minor here on campus, so it's still kind of developing. But I mean, it all came across the fact that I wanted to be an interpreter. I've always been interested in translation. Like, I really like that idea of transforming something from one language to another. And then it actually came across by exploring. So I was trying to take a fun class, and I ended up taking this class about, like, education. And then my TA was a translation studies minor student. So when he was introducing himself, he was like, "Oh, I'm a translation studies minor," and like that just got my attention, and I went up to talk to him, and yeah, he was as excited as I was, because he's like, I can barely meet anyone who like wants to be a translation studies minor. But I feel like for minors, it's really interesting because the list goes long. Sometimes it's not stuff that they're majors here on campus, but they make them into minors. So if you're kind of like interested in that, like definitely add it, because that way you will be kind of like committed to take classes that like really speak to your interests. For example, I was interested in learning German, so I've been taking so many German classes that I think I can even apply for a minor at this point. So I feel like, yeah, finding your minor is not really bad. You just kind of explore your interests, and it's like a little extra because you get some sort of like acknowledgement for just taking the classes you like. So I definitely encourage you all to look at the minor list. The list is really, really long. There's probably something in there for you.
Do we have any more questions, Stephanie?
Yes, we have another question. So it's, how did you decide what kind of extracurriculars to join?
I can answer it. So like I said, I really enjoy the healthcare services. Healthcare services. So I remember how I found out about the sorority. I was literally eating at DLG, De La Guerra Dining Commons. I forgot the name. I only use the acronym. And I was just scrolling because I was like, oh, I'm interested in the health field. And I literally put in healthcare clubs, sororities, or whatever. And that same day, there was a meeting, so I quickly ate my dinner and rushed over. But I believe there's a website that lists all the clubs that you may be interested in. It goes by like interest, like athletics or healthcare, or law. Like there's so many clubs out there. And then within the departments, like within the science department or the STEM departments, like they tell you, like they advertise them. So I'm pretty sure like through Zoom or through emails, you'll get like advertisement. And also just like signing up for random stuff. Like I think I signed up for like cooking, and I don't cook. Like I don't like to cook, but I just did it because I was like, why not? But just honestly, just try something new. You meet really great people, and just having fun with it. Because I don't know, like school is very stressful, but like these extracurriculars made my college experience very fun. Like I think school's fun, but like my extracurriculars are definitely probably the best part of college.
So I can also talk on that. So as I mentioned, my first year I joined the ultimate Frisbee team here at Santa Barbara, and it's actually a club sport. And so just some background, I played softball my entire life for like 10 years or something like that. And like I stopped in high school because I just wasn't feeling it anymore. And so I came in like into college my first year, and I was like, ooh, like I want to like, just explore, like I just want to do things. And so there's a thing called the Fun and Fitness Festival. And so it usually runs in person, but now I believe this year they're having it virtual with like different types of workshops and things like that, which I'm pretty sure you can find on Shoreline. But so I discovered the UCSB Ultimate Frisbee team at the Fun and Fitness Festival. And the way I would describe it is just like a bunch of teams and whatnot, just out there like tabling and giving you flyers. And from there, like my roommate wanted to go, so then I went with my roommate and whatnot, and then I joined. But it didn't last long. It only lasted like 3 months, just because like I just didn't like it. Like, the team is great. Like, they're really good. But I really joined because I was like, ooh, like, I just want to, like, throw a Frisbee and, like, not really win. Like, I don't care about winning, but they really cared about winning, which is awesome. But I did not care. So, like, our values didn't align. So I felt it was best for me to, like, lead the team. But I'm still friends with people there and whatnot. So that's, like, one way is, like, like, obviously, like, the Fun and Fitness Festival isn't going to happen in person, but it is going to happen online. So that's one thing I would recommend, like, if you're interested in, like, those types of, like, sports and, like, extracurriculars that have nothing to involve with, like, not using your brain, but, like not, like, school related and whatnot, like, sports. I was actually on the department of, what is it? The rec department, the rec center website, the recreational center website yesterday. And I saw that they're having intramural esports. And so that's a thing. So if you're into like video gaming, like they're literally going to have esport video games. So that's the thing you could do. But so like I would tell you how I met clubs and whatnot in person, but we're not going to be in person in fall. So one way I would recommend is like Shoreline, and actually to like reading the emails that you receive, because I know that sometimes it may feel like you're just receiving a bunch of emails and like from a bunch of different people, but really like sometimes like take the time to read them, because they may be like some information that like sparks an interest in you.
Yeah, quickly, just for me, I think for me it was more like in high school I really liked volleyball, and I really like, you know, to swim and stuff. So I started off with the interest I had in high school, and I just kind of further explored them here on campus, because chances are if you're into whatever thing you were into high school, there's probably something in here, except, you know, football. But my high school didn't have a football team, so it's okay. So I feel like other than that, I think for me it was just, I definitely recommend Shoreline, because they have like the entire catalog of every single club here on campus. And for me it was more like, you know, going with my friends and try things that they were interested in or that I was interested in. So I would suggest, you know, kind of like going to these fun events by the Rexen, or look through Shoreline, or go through like the org mix series or stuff like that. And, you know, or if you have friends, kind of like see what they're into and try to join them, and, you know, maybe you'll be into it, or you'll meet more people, and then that people will lead you somewhere else, you know. Just a whole bunch of just talking and exploring, and, you know, that's kind of like the beauty of UCSB. I feel like there's always something going on. It's just a matter of you just, you know, exploring a little bit, and you'll find something. So yeah, I'm pretty sure like before in person there was the arbor, and people would just go represent their organizations and table and tell you like, hey, you should come to our event and stuff. So I'm pretty sure they'll find a way to do that with us being online too. So just keep your eyes open, look through your emails, look through everything, because I'm pretty sure these orgs and these clubs are really going to find a way to get to you. So yeah, just don't make it impossible for them, of course.
And then if we have maybe one more question, Stephanie, you can go ahead and ask that.
Yeah, so you already kind of answered part of this question, but it's how do we build community during this time?
So one way, so like during this time, I would just like to recognize that it's very difficult. And I would like to recognize like that's the first step for you to ask that question, like what's a way that I can build community like during this whole pandemic and virtual learning. Like it is difficult, but one way that I would like to mention is that the ONDAS Student Center is collaborating with the Educational Opportunity Program, short for EOP. They actually collaborate every single quarter, even in person, but we have a program called Real Talk, and it's pretty much like the way I would best describe it is this informal space for first-gen students just to like chill, hang out, talk with each other, and really just like learn about UCSB resources and like just vent, I guess is like the best way to describe it. But it's like super informal. It's nothing like this. I guess you would say it's not like a panel discussion and whatnot. It's just a bunch of first gen students hanging out and talking with each other, and like trying to build that community. And so what this looks like in person is we would usually meet in the ONDAS Student Center in Coral Hall 1150. Try to keep note of that when we go back in person. Just kidding. But so we usually meet there, and we usually meet in this conference room, and there's usually snacks during breakfast time and like food and tea and coffee, things like that. But since we're not able to do that in person, we're gonna be holding the meetings over Zoom. And as I mentioned, it's just gonna be like this virtual space just to like hang out and talk. And usually, so who attends is I'll be attending this upcoming quarter, but usually peer mentors from the ONDAS Student Center, the Educational Opportunity Program will also be there in the Zoom meeting, as well as an academic advisor, Jack Rivas, who has in the past, I don't know how many quarters, but he has like attended almost every single quarter, which is like a great opportunity for you to bring any like academic questions or like, and also too, just for like to talk with him. He's super cool, super chatty, has a lot to say, and like you have a lot to learn from him. I'm pretty sure if you like talk to a student, like, oh, do you know Jack Rivas? They'll be like, yeah, I know Jack Rivas. So that's like one, I guess, resource that I could give to you for this upcoming fall is Real Talk with the ONDAS Student Center and Educational Opportunity Program, which will be happening, let me get the date out really quickly, Tuesday starting week 2 from, one second, just so I can get this date to you, from 11 to 12. So if you want to go ahead and mark that in your calendar, and you can also just check us out at the ONDAS Student Center website to get the link and whatnot.
Yeah, there's also a lot of AS programs that's they've been doing great like virtual, I guess, stuff. I don't know the word, but it's like shows and stuff. So that gets you involved with the UCSB community, which is great. And we have a lot to offer, to be honest with you. Like, I'm so impressed by how we like the transition into online. Like, it's honestly, like, I've attended more events online than I did in person because I was just lazy to go. But now it's like you're comfortable in your own bed, and like there's like the multicultural center MCC, which hosts like great events. Like, I already like marked on my calendar the days, and that's just like a good way to get to know what we offer. And yeah, you get to know like the people around you, and it's like very informal, so it's cool to get to know the peers. So I would just recommend looking at the AS programs and MCC.
For what I would recommend is that I personally feel like, first of all, like I feel like this is not a UCSB, thing, but I would say social media kind of works a lot. I know there's like groups on Facebook and on Twitter that are dedicated to kind of help students network. And I think that's one way of doing things, like of meeting new people through social media and just talking to them, say like who's taking the same classes you are and like who's interested in the same events or sports or esports that you are into, but also, yeah, kind of like as Laura said, like with AS, like I don't want to be like the shameless plug, but for example, for like our organization as CIRC, since our mission is to create community, we're kind of like, brainstorming as hard as we can. It's been kind of stressful to kind of like provide events in which y'all can just come, and like we know it's an extra hour of Zoom, which is kind of like even scary to mention sometimes to people, but we're trying to make that hour worth it. We're trying to make that hour, a way in which you can like meet other students. You can meet us, you can talk to us who have been on campus for a little longer. You can talk to students who are like, also first years or incoming students. So yeah, I would totally suggest you go to these social events. Like, it is hard because it is another hour of Zoom and standing in front of your computer. But like, if you're really trying to meet new friends, I would totally encourage you to go to the social events on Zoom from whatever, ONDAS or AS or anything. People will be there, and I'm pretty sure they all are trying to socialize during this time. So yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I think that's totally good advice. So we have reached the end of our panel discussion time. So I'd like to thank Lailani, Laurie, and Guillermo for just taking the time to talk to all of us today. We hope to see you guys in our events tomorrow, or we actually have a first gen chat room in like 15 minutes with our first gen grad and alumni. So if you guys would like to join that, feel free to as well. But other than that, thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Bye.